My most precious child, on this sacred Good Friday, let my infinite love wrap you in its warm embrace. Though the weight of my son's suffering on the cross may cast a solemn pall, I hope you feel the radiant blessing his ultimate sacrifice represents. When you reflect on the brutal scourging he endured, the torturous crown of thorns that pierced his sacred flesh, the heavy cross he bore on bloodied shoulders, know that it was all willingly born out of boundless love for you. Every lash upon his back was to free you from the lashes of sin. Every drop of blood spilled was to wash you anew in my purifying grace. As you meditate on his final agonizing hours, keenly ponder the divine mystery revealed, that the Almighty should take on the form of a humble man, only to be mocked, beaten, and executed upon a cross in the cruelest way, all so that you might be spared from eternal condemnation. Behold the enormity of such a sacrifice made solely out of perfect, unconditional love for your soul. For it was in that dark hour upon Golgotha, as my son breathed his last tortured breath, that heaven's glory penetrated the deepest abyss, as his precious blood poured forth. The fetters of sin that ensnared all humanity were finally severed in a blinding act of redemptive mercy. The lake of my divine forgiveness could at last engulf the world, saving all who embrace it from everlasting spiritual death. And so I ask you, my child, to accept this lavish gift of grace, freely offered through the passion of the unblemished Lamb. Let the weight of his immeasurable suffering strengthen you to cast off all that burdens your soul. For it was for you he endured unimaginable physical torment, scourged and beaten beyond human recognition, so that in him you would be made pristine and whole once more. As you weep for his agony, let your tears be mingled with tears of joy. For you have been made a daughter or son in the highest kingdom through his dreadful sacrifice. Death has lost its sting, its finality shattered by the infinite power of unconditional love poured out upon that blood-stained cross. Have supreme faith that just as my son was resurrected on the third glorious day, conquering death's stronghold, so too will you be resurrected into eternal life and heavenly glory by his side when your earthly story concludes. No more will pain, sin, or death ensnare you, for evil's grip will at last be vanquished upon witnessing the blinding holy light of my beatific presence. So take heart, my beloved one. Though the world's darkness may enshroud you in moments of deepest despair, the blaze of my eternal truth will forever conquer. Cling to the foot of the cross, letting its brilliant light guide you through all tribulations. And I will never cease to pour forth profuse blessings upon your faith-filled perseverance. You are my treasured heir, my most cherished creation, forever clasped in the sacred wounds of my son's sacrifice. This is my solemn Good Friday covenant to you, sealed in his holy passion blood. Go now and embrace the depths of my unfathomable mercy. My child, though the road ahead may be long and winding, filled with trials and darkness, fear not. I am the way, the truth, and the life, and by fixing your gaze upon me, you will never be led astray. The blessings that flow from my son's sacrifice on Good Friday are infinite and everlasting. When doubts and despair creep into your heart, turn towards the cross, that instrument of torture transformed into an eternal wellspring of hope. Recall how even as my son suffered his agonizing final hours, he embodied perfect mercy, offering salvation to the repentant thief at his side. This day you will be with me in paradise. Spoken from lips bloody and swollen, revealed the unfathomable depths of his gracious love. If the Lord of heaven could grant such generous forgiveness at his darkest hour, how much more will I, your eternal Father, forgive and heal you when you humbly seek my pardon? Come to me with a contrite spirit, and I shall make you whiter than pristine snow, restoring the original innocence that sin has tarnished. And though the world often shuns and persecutes those who live according to my holy word, do not be discouraged, beloved one. United with Christ in his suffering, you share in his glorification. For just as he drank fully of the bitter chalice, so he tasted the sublime ecstasy of rising in brilliant triumph over death's stronghold. Those who faithfully endure scorn and trials out of perfect love for me will be welcomed into everlasting life as heirs to my celestial kingdom beyond this fallen realm. Incomparable treasures and delights await all who hold fast to the glorious cross. So do not grow weary or lose heart, for great is your reward in heaven. Immerse yourself in the unfathomable mystery of Good Friday. Be in awe that the all-powerful God, before whom angels bow in reverence, took the form of a suffering servant to offer you the grace of eternal redemption. This is a love beyond humanity's comprehension, yet it is yours for the embrace through my Son's holy passion. Hold tight to the truth that just as the world's light was seemingly extinguished that fateful Friday, only to radiate in breathtaking splendor 3 days later, so too shall the darkness of sin and death be forever vanquished for those who walk in the brilliant glory of the risen Christ. This is the good news that my own blood made possible. Now go forth into the world, strengthened and renewed by the blessed gift of Good Friday. Share this light of everlasting hope with all souls still wandering in gloom. For you have been made an heir to the never-ending feast of my divine love, bought for you at the inestimable price of a sinless God suffering. Abide in this covenant of unfailing grace. Let my mercy raise you up on this solemn day, as you are enveloped in the eternal blessings of Christ's supreme act of love displayed upon the cross. My peace, which transcends all understanding, is the inheritance I joyfully bestow upon you, my cherished child. My child, come away with me to a quiet place where we may be alone together. In the stillness, I will speak wisdom and strength into your spirit. Lay down, for a time, the endless demands that vie for your attention and fragment your focus. Instead, enter with intention into a Sabbath, rest for body and soul, to recover wholeness and perspective found only in withdrawing from busyness. Silence now prepares you as a seed lying dormant through winter harbors the promise of abundant new life when the seasons change. I crafted mankind for cycles of both withdrawal and active occupation, each finding perfect balance in me. I myself modeled this rhythm of work and rest by ceasing after mighty exertions in creation, establishing the pattern of renewal that restores the soul. Do not disdain your need for reprieve from crowded spaces and straining schedules, pressed by constant necessity to produce. Honor instead the limits I lovingly placed around your capacity to shelter your sanity. Protect spaces of disengagement from the ravenous culture that would devour all your time with false urgency. Submit wholeheartedly to my gentle yoke that renews your soul day by sanctified day. Here, souls may quietly commune with me beyond the din of this world's demands that commandeer consciousness. My spirit speaks softly, needing unhurried space to make impressions linger. Then, in nourishing silence as the noise recedes, calm assurance emerges to anchor you firmly in my design for human wholeness, not the world's demand for output devoid of meaning. As any healthy ecosystem honors cycles for its sustainability, so my people flourish by balancing work with replenishing rest. There are simple seasonal patterns to regain equilibrium in chaotic times. Consider the reliable progression in creation through the variety of day and night, renewing continually. Reflect on the ocean's predictable ebb and flow, its rhythms model divine wisdom. So too, your very breath flows inward to receive, then outward, powered to actively exert the energy you inhaled. In the same way, cycles of silence and speech find proper proportion in affirming one another, not contending. You move seamlessly between quiet alignments of soul and body and strategic employing of renewed power. Remember always that when heavy loads weigh you down, I crafted mankind for joyful retreat into effortless enjoyment of my presence. Reawaken childlike wonder and delight. Set aside grown-up burdens for a season here, where worries fade, priorities realign in the light of eternity's horizon, A resilient life wisely integrates these respites, refusing false guilt around rest. Wholeness acknowledges your integrated self, not just the cog keeping wheels in motion. So, learn my loving ways in long and patient seasons together. Enjoy family times around the table, sharing simple meals. Consider two creation reliable seasonal rhythms. Vivid autumn colors signaling necessary winter rest ahead when all grows still. Observe busy creatures conserving through barren months rather than vainly struggling on. See leaves releasing their hold after boldly transforming sunlight into nourishment. Here, you glimpse the timely cycles of work and rest that honor limits around finite strengths. Take your rightful place then, child, within these rhythms of withdrawal and vigor that sustain you in purpose. And remember your weekly day of common rest from commerce and labor. Make this Sabbath holy, dedicating its hours solely to spiritual pursuits and loving community. For a full day, step outside frenzied gaining that easily displaces eternal priorities. Through steadfast habit, reconnect to greater reality grounded in worship, gratitude, and caring fellowship. Reclaim this radical routine that regularly reorients you to my shared hopes beyond self. Refuse compromise here. Assert the precedent of your whole being above profits for a day. In this sacred rhythm, find perspective and vision refreshed for the challenges ahead. Beloved, each day I call you to resist the subtle tide of busyness that threatens to pull you under the demands of this world. Cry loudly, pressing you to conform. Yet you must set boundaries against that which erodes the soul. Go, for no matter how good the tasks, nothing rivals the supreme commands to love me first and then to love your neighbor. Come away into the quiet with me and regain focus within my kingdom. From the stillness before my throne, discern with care what truly matters for eternity and what does not. Let holiness and wisdom guide your perspective, not the hurried pace of culture. I have called you to walk the narrow way that leads to life. In steady balance, choose only that which aligns with my purposes written on your heart. Refuse anything that compromises my kingdom values already placed within you. Here, in this quiet space with me, I anchor your soul anew each day and order your steps into grace and truth. Listen for my voice to show you the way, my beloved. When voices of anxiety and adversity threaten to overwhelm your spirit, come first to me in prayer. Bring your heavy concerns openly, that I may meet you there in my presence. Possibilities and power multiply to address tangible dilemmas as you release strained problem-solving into my hands. Rest in the stillness of trusting me to bring transformation overnight to unresolved tensions. I renew your strength and perspective with the fresh mercy of each new morning. Do not imagine yourself above limitations requiring retreat into my quiet refuge for direction. Even the most devoted burn out without integrating wisdom's cycles of work and rest. Aim not for perfection but excellence through balance. Feverish ambition often masks pride or love of human praise, which I oppose. Maintain humility around personal weakness with confidence in my full provision for all you need to fulfill each calling. Weave retreat into advance to complete the journeys I design. In set-apart spaces of sacred quiet, your inner strength continually renews. So, set firm boundaries around overloading your senses and psyche. Refuse addiction to constant news and noise, allowing healthy detachment outside your control. Give full presence to loved ones before you now. Instead, the only sure possession in time's fleeting stream. Offer the first and best of your moments to stillness with me. Here, souls find anchoring perspective when other voices confuse and distract. From this place of wisdom, graciously tend to all else calling your name. Protect sacred spaces of family and home from intrusions that steal serenity. Set aside that which divides attention to linger long together. Deal efficiently with disruptions to defend special hours as holy. Certain priorities deserve full engagement, not fractured awareness spread thin over empty virtual realms. Honor relational needs through respectful scheduling and listening that seeks understanding. You cannot satisfy every concern arising, so wisely unplug at times to care deeply for those before you now. Tomorrow, you serve others I bring across your path. Today ye refuse to let distant diversions dominate. Lavishing love through the gift of presence, these boundaries manifest wisdom, not selfishness. I lovingly crafted you for rhythms of engagement and withdrawal that nurture whole health. I gently correct when you veer toward unhealthy extremes, wishing to spare you long sorrows if ignored. Realign with my original design by assessing your current ratios of talking versus listening, distraction versus presence, stimulation versus calm, work versus rest. What proportions feed your soul and produce good fruit versus quickly depleting you? Consult the counsel of trusted companions I have placed around you. In both noise and stillness, I meet you as love, sharing more of myself if you'll listen. Beneath duties, driving demands. My best success and purpose for you transcend empty pursuits of wealth, fame, or legacy built by human effort alone. Purpose is fulfilled through small acts of service that bless others for eternity. This definition entrusts outcomes to my grace at work behind the scenes. Set apart regular space to commune with me in solitude, nourishing roots that now bear public fruit for my glory. Your activities demonstrate devotion already proved, not performances attempting to earn belonging. Rest completely in my unconditional delight over you, my child. Wisdom integrates busy work with tranquil rest. Avoid polarizing views that idolize one while demonizing the other. Honor healthy boundaries that ensure soul care. Employ tools strategically without becoming enslaved to convenience that demands utter availability. Erasing sacred lines around true rest and intimacy with others. Highly prized quietude for gaining perspective and sensitivity to my gentle guidance. Cultivate patient, attentive listening, while also embracing passionate truth-telling discovered in stillness. Modulate intensity by welcoming calming influences that temper extremes. Seek balance between gravity and lightness, caution and courage, stimulation and peaceful order. Maintain rhythms aligned to creation's cycles of activity and rest. May you thrive in both active investment and silent reception. First, consecrate set-apart times to know me intimately. Then, with tank refueled, pour yourself into purposeful labor equipped through our connection. May my pleasures so fill you that weariness gives way to soul overflowing and perfect rest in my presence. Thus, you walk wisely with me, moment by moment through life's variety. Give yourself to fruitful effort governed by sacred intervals set apart to commune with me. From this place of wise rhythms and full spiritual nourishment, what you vigorously pour out into each calling will sweetly bless multitudes for my glory. My child, be still before me. Silence your restless mind, and know that I am God. I am ever present, though at times I may seem far away. Trust in my abiding love, for it surrounds you, though you perceive it not. Let me fill your quiet spaces with comfort. In the hush of your soul, listen for my voice. It comes as a gentle whisper to calm your fears and guide your steps. Do not despise the silence, for it is here I meet you and lavish my grace upon you. Seasons will come when sorrows or trials plunge you into unwelcome quiet. I know the silence born of sadness weighs heavy on tender hearts. Take hope, beloved, for I see your tears, and I am acquainted with grief. In due time, I will transform ashes into crowns of beauty. Take comfort. Not all tears are bitter. Some fall with joy when my loving kindness surprises you. My compassion springs forth to water barren souls. Though you walk through valleys blanketed in stillness, you need not fear evil. My rod and staff protect you in seasons of darkness. Cling to me. Trust the light still shines through. Your eyes perceive only gloom. Courage, my child. The quiet nights of weeping always give way to joyful dawn. Stillness cultivates soil for growth, Have I not said? Consider the lilies, how they grow. The silence makes room for their unfolding. So too for you, my beloved. Times of quiet nurture character, faith, and strength for the journey ahead. Do not resent the waiting seasons. Instead, let patience bloom. The vine must be pruned to yield the harvest. Allow my loving hands to shape you in the shadows where no one sees. One day, you will emerge transformed by grace. Refined in those silent crucibles of the soul, you will shine all the brighter for being formed in stillness. Has not my spirit hovered over darkened chaos and brought forth light, order, life? Trust the one who calmed the raging seas with a word. I harness the wind and waves. They obey my voice. Rest under the shelter of the Most High. When storms surround you, let my perfect peace rule your heart, so fear finds no toehold. Though thunder roars, you may lie down and sleep, confident in my sovereignty over nature and nations alike. No power thwarts my purposes. Be still in the raging storm and see my deliverance. Take refuge in me amid tumult, without and within. When clamoring voices drown reason, flee to the quiet sanctuary. Shut out the distractions and center your mind on things above. Redirect your focus to truth that aligns your perspective. Reclaim control over chaotic thought patterns. Quiet the inner tempest, not by brute force but through trust in my abiding presence. As you release anxious striving, my spirit brings order, direction, mental clarity. You gain the higher view that sees all things working toward redemption's purpose. Cultivate wisdom's fruit in tranquil seasons. Retreat into stillness for contemplation. Withdraw from ceaseless activity lest it rule you. Create space for reflection, revelation. As you ponder my word, understand my ways, develop discernment, grow insight, nurture empathy to guide compassionate action. In silence, recalibrate your inner compass. Realign priorities with eternal perspective. Balance contemplation with service, else you drift into inertia. Let seasons of solitude prepare you for love displayed. With meditation comes motivation for selfless giving. My spirit will direct your steps, open doors to bless broken humanity. You need not chart the course, simply make yourself available to needs around you. Opportunities for kindness will find you. Dear one, silence guards the heart and mind from enemy encroachment. Refuse to entertain accusations, condemning whispers. Rebuke cruel lies, replace them with my living truth. Wield my words in warfare against falsehood. Quench flaming arrows with my sure promises. What I have declared, no foe can counter. Stand confident on this unassailable ground. Victory is assured. Nevertheless, beloved, exercise discernment regarding revelations not yet fulfilled. Measure your speech until appointed times. There are mysteries known only in divine counsel, glories concealed until preparation completes. Trust my timing. Beloved, I will uncover hidden wisdom as you grow able to steward revelations faithfully. Our covenant relationship deepens in the waiting. Take joy in depending on me for understanding. Locked away from human eyes, lacking the holy key, rest in truth already illuminated for the journey ahead. Sufficient light shines on the next step. Renew your mind, not with mysteries reserved for later times, but with present provision to nourish your spirit this day. My child, let reverent silence now open wide a holy space for awe and wonder in my presence. Restraint guards the sacred. Preserve reverence toward revelation. Refuse rash speech regarding eternal matters. Human words cannot contain glories far too vast. Breathe humble awe, not glibness toward divine disclosure. Flippant familiarity breeds contempt for holy things, arrogantly assuming I am tamed and diminished. Silence reigns in the tongue's gallop, ushering holy fear at formidable realities transcending earthbound thought. Stillness calibrates a posture to receive my mysteries, though heavens cannot contain me. In mercy, I choose intimate fellowship with creatures born of dust. Do not trample this grace by kicking up the dust with hurry and entitlement. Revere what I reveal in voiceless places, void of posturing, where we meet heart to heart. Listen, beloved, only listen to the echo of eternity resounding in silence. Here, let awe overtake you, in my sheltering wings, the wise prize quiet above opinions, above clever words that clamor for attention. In the silence, lay aside the insatiable demands that perpetually sap strength and scatter focus. Cease striving fruitlessly to satisfy this age's endless appetites. You were fashioned for sacred seasons of stillness with me, as well as strategic sending into purpose. Therefore, steward time and energy judiciously, aligning action to replenishment that maintains resilience enduring storms. Avoid extremes, either isolated inwardly or so outwardly preoccupied you disconnect from my empowering presence. Instead, cycle seamlessly between quiet communion and passionate participation, each renewing the other. Here, you walk the narrow way into abundant life your Maker intends. Listen for my gentle whispers through simple silence that grounds conviction, builds character, and informs wise action. Avoid reactionary paths. Popularity promotes detour. Sensational roads lined with empty promises and perilous byways paved by fearmongers shouting loudest. Their panic incites hasty decisions devoid of faith, almost always ending in confusion or harm. Unplug accordingly from the barrage of opinions and breakdowns presented as facts. Filter input and halt assumptions. Then apart from the din, meet me in stillness for context and wisdom that penetrates polarizing smog with clear vision, bathed in mercy and truth. Here, anchored perspective overrides distorted narratives. From quiet clarity, speak gently with courage. Create thoughtfully with conscience-led patience. Fueled by hope in silence. Rediscover foundational definitions around being, belonging, and purpose. You exist as my cherished creation, designed intentionally to reveal my nature, never an accidental byproduct of random processes. Your essence was secured in my foreknowledge before the dawning of the first light in the cosmos. Every moment since was authored in my book, guiding you along paths toward fulfilling redemptive call. Your life unfolds equipped supernaturally, shouldered by grace, sufficient through tests. My strength infuses your frailty, so never fear falling short. Your highest aim is simply being my child, not great accomplishments, heaping possessions, or accolades. For true meaning dwells in relationship, not things achieved or staged performances for others' approval. Your identity is permanently anchored in me. You belong through my blood, before exhibiting any merit. Out of grateful intimacy, serve family and strangers alike with kindness, expecting no gain. Here, joy overflows. Thus, still your weary soul to remember foundations, stabilizing faith. What voices dominate inner spaces, coloring perception? On what footings are constructed cornerstone convictions determining reactions when pressure mounts? Return regularly to silent places of prayer and scriptural counsel, establishing beliefs, values, and priorities aligned to my kingdom's ethic. Tend this root system sunk deep into my ways and words, nourished by my spirit. Then, character will stand matured by revelation wrapped in relationship, not merely informing but transforming heart and mind. Avoid despair over darkness, eclipsing land through fear's propaganda and unjust laws, slowly normalizing the unacceptable. The darkest night still gives way to dawn, my child. Balance cries of injustice with praise for my grace rising to answer sufferings. Please train your vision to recognize glimmers of promise amid despair, blessing woven into sorrow's tapestry. Look beyond current setbacks. I am moving to remove barriers impeding equity's arrival, standing on faith's firm ground. Take heart from my justice perfected over history's long travail. I bring life from death, joy from grief, and healing to every ill. Goodness from evil's intention. Trust my relentless love pursuing creation's highest welfare. Though surrounding disasters herald the apocalypse, Remain anchored in my unshakable promises. Extremity signals culmination in the storm's eye. Regain strength just before championing gentle justice by tearing down dividing walls with words of solidarity for outcasts. But first, bow low, swallowing prideful ignorance that dismissal fed, indifference enabling exploitation. Lament cold attitudes normalizing systems that devalue, weep for dynamics perpetuating suffering from unthinkable cruelty. Between times of friction and outspoken action, meet with me in stillness to nurture empathy that listens before responding, that grasps nuance before demanding rigid conformity. My love liberates without crushing lost souls and constructs bridges, enabling former enemies to show mercy. It fuels steadfast endurance to welcome redemption's dawn. Protect this fiery love, a flame in your belly from arrogance. Fan tender flames of humility and kindness until old oppression bows to solidarity, and equity kisses those once shunned, at last seen as kin. My child, as you tread through the realms of a world scarred by the remnants of inhumanity, let a revolution burgeon within you. A revolution that calls you to introspect and challenge your own beliefs and biases. It's time to quell the instinct to cast judgment upon those who appear different without understanding their tales or experiencing their journeys. Seek to cultivate deeper integrity within yourself before you demand it of the world. In your quest for fairness, cleanse your vision of the privilege that brings comfort at the expense of others. Mourn the apathy and ignorance that have become bedrocks of oppressive systems. Yet remember, it is only through divine grace that true transformation is possible. Where prejudice has clouded your view, allow my divine intervention to clear your vision, paving the way for a healing that is whole and complete. Offer your relationships to the light of my redemption. In your journey toward understanding, venture into realms that may seem uncomfortable. It is in these spaces that trust is built and advocacy for the vulnerable is forged. Empathy, when joined with action, becomes a powerful force for justice long denied. Lend an ear to the stories laden with pain, yearning for a respectful audience. Create spaces where sorrow can coexist with celebration, where dignity is restored to those from whom it was stolen. Embrace experiences diverse from your own to refine your perspective, moving beyond stereotypes. Promote media and language that uplifts, that sees the diversity of identity and background with humanity and respect. Forsake the path of exploitation and embrace the journey towards equitable growth for all. Reimagine the social structures and decrees that obstruct the ascent of the less fortunate. Cultivate personal habits that elevate the downtrodden and valiantly oppose any dominion that elevates one faction above another. Dismantle and reconstruct the very foundations that have perpetuated disparity. Close not thine eyes to the inequalities that pervade, but rather, venture into realms unlike thine own. Strive to comprehend the unique tribulations faced by diverse people. Discover unity beneath the superficial divides and foster hope. In this realm, empathy and urgency converge to spawn intercession, advocacy, and reconciliation. As you step away from the false comforts of complacency, new horizons emerge. A revelation that revolutionizes perspectives once limited by the blindness of privilege. What was once deemed reasonable now gives way to a mindset transformed, a conscience awakened. Refuse to tolerate the grave imbalance and inequality among my beloved children. A divine discontent stirs within you, spurred by my spirit's grief and a heart of passion. Holy impatience bridges the gap between words and actions, compelling true faith to manifest in deeds grounded in prayer and integrity. Thus, you become the embodiment of heavenly ideals here on earth. You will write new laws of equity, ensure the marginalized have a seat at decision-making tables, and begin the cultural course correction. Amen. If you want God's grace always upon you, then please consider to support our ministry by clicking Thanks button.